Bucharest. We've got important news of Premier League and Division 1 games tonight. Dunfermline against Celtic, Raith Rovers against Hamilton, and of course the play is proceeding in the MIM International Snooker at Derby, and tonight both Stephen Henry and Murdo MacLeod are in action. So that's football and snooker tonight, and a specially extended edition of Scott Sport at 10:35.
Need only look back to these quite remarkable moments.
McQuaid with a corner kick. Over it comes, nicely placed, up go the heads, and it's stopped almost on the line, still not cleared. Down to Ray, and it's a goal! Ray scores for Crystal. McQuaid flicking it forward to Bowen, on to Laurie. Laurie, edge of the box, inside, right foot shot to the far side, and it's there! Laurie scores a sensational goal. Laurie with a corner. Up go the heads, it's chance for Thistle, McQuaid scores! A sensation! 30 minutes played and it's 3-0. The tall figure of Dennis McQuaid going into the centre of the field. Celtic marshalling their forces. Taken by Laurie, in comes Bowen, walks the ball into the net! It's 4-0! Over comes his cross, headed down by Macari. Here's a chance for Macari now, out in front, and it must be a goal. Well, Greece scores.
Few Thistle fans will ever forget that 1971 Cup-winning performance, nor will the Thistle players who performed so well on the day. Cup action, Rangers could nudge 2 points closer to Celtic if they beat Motherwell at Ibrox, and Falkirk meantime face Hibs at Brockville. Well, Jerry McNee, first in the Cup, quite a day in prospect at Firhill.
Well, I think so. It'll be a great atmosphere there tomorrow, and just looking back in those goals brought back a lot of memories. I think Celtic were 6-1 on that day and Thistle were 6-1 against. I had a fiver on Thistle. But what I remember about it was that I think Rangers were playing Dunfermline at Ibrox that day, and Rangers were booed off the park, nothing each at half-time. They come back down the tunnel for the second half. There was singing and dancing going on all over the place. And legend has it that thousands of Rangers fans got into taxis and buses and headed for Hampden to gloat for the last half hour. But my money's in Celtic tomorrow, and I think the Rangers fans will be staying at Ibrox to watch their team against Motherwell.
Yes, not much chance of a 4-1, or is there? I would doubt it.
No, I don't
surely.
think so. Thistle have come back well recently, a lot of good results, but I think with McAvenny and Walker there.
Motherwell, of course, too, but if they can beat Motherwell, they'll nudge that 2 points closer to Celtic.
It's a very, very vital day in the league tomorrow. Motherwell will make it hard for Rangers, but think of this scenario. Rangers win tomorrow. It's back to 4 points. Celtic are due to go to Aberdeen on Tuesday night. It could still be 4 points. Then Rangers play Celtic next Sunday in the televised match. It could be back to 2 points. And then the nerves would be jangling all over the place then. I think there's a lot of football to be played in this Premier League yet.
And Falkirk Hibs tomorrow too. Important for Falkirk, especially.
That's right. And of course Motherwell, it's important for them at Ibrox too. The relegation battle's really on now. Falkirk are going well, and they might just push themselves back into contention again.
No, some interesting matches all round. Jerry, thank you.
That Rangers can overcome the challenge of Steaua Bucharest and make it a merry evening for themselves and their players. 2 goals behind, and our cameras will be there to capture the highlights for you. You can see them on Sports Scene at 10:10 on Wednesday evening, along with Real Madrid against Bayern. That makes a very exciting football package, which I look forward to myself. Until Wednesday night at 10:10, from all of us here at Dens Park, good night.
Watch that cup tie between Manchester City and Liverpool. Now that's bound to fuel speculation. They're going to enter the transfer market again. One possible target, City striker Paul Stewart, bought for £200,000, now worth over £1 million. Souness was playing his cards close to his chest though.
I'm here to see a good game of football, and in the first half I've seen a good game of football.
They all say that, don't they? It's all coming very much to the boil in Scottish football, and Derek Johnson and myself will be looking forward to the next week. Yes. Nice to have you back. Well, Celtic won quite comfortably there, showing really that there's no substitute for full-time football, but it was nice to see the Jags back again. Here's a reminder of what's coming up in a very thrilling week. On Tuesday, that cup replay there at the bottom, and Dundee's Jockey Scott has a problem. If Bobby Geddes is fit, does he restore him or keep Tom Carson in goal? And in the league match at the top, Celtic could reopen a 6-point gap on Rangers if they win at Aberdeen. On Wednesday, the European Cup quarter-final. Rangers 2 goals down from the first leg to Steaua Bucharest. And to cap it all, what's going to be billed, whether they like it or not, as the league decider, the old firm at Ibrox in front of 45,000 and live on Scotland. Derek Johnson, it really is going to be some week, isn't it?
Well, there's plenty of football this weekend, and you're right, with Celtic playing on Tuesday, it all depends on how that the result goes for Sunday's Old Firm game.
Let's get down to global events first, and as we get to see the pictures of Rangers playing in Bucharest in the first leg, let's consider their chances in the second. Do you think they can pull back the 2 goals?
I think they can pull back the 2 goals, Ian. They're obviously going to have to commit men forward to score the goals, but the thing that they have to watch is there has to be caution for them, because this team can break, and they can break quickly, and I can see them scoring a goal, which would kill off the tie.
Because Rangers set their stall out to defend in the first leg, and there really, to my mind, was no evidence at all on which you can base how Bucharest will be able to defend, because they weren't put under any pressure. I just remember a Cooper cross which the goalkeeper saved rather bravely.
That's right, they were never tested, the defence, but you can be sure on Wednesday night they will be tested. Rangers are going to have to throw men forward, and we'll see how they react to the 44,000 crowd at Ibrox.
What can Graham Souness do to give Ali McCoy more support, because he'll clearly need it?
Well, he'll certainly need it. I think he has to play Cooper to supply balls for him, and Ian Durrant will be playing in his favourite position just off Ali McCoy's, hoping to get these late runs into the box and try and get the goals that count.
The Romanians seem to have been leaking the fact that they're not too happy about the way Rangers play and the refereeing standards. That's all presumably just propaganda. They'll be a strong, tough side.
Of course they are, like all European sides. Remember, they're an army side, they're well disciplined. 2 years ago they went to Spain in front of 75,000 Spaniards and won the European Cup final there. So they won't be worried by the Ibrox crowd.
I'll come back to a prediction at the end, but let's turn now to the Old Firm business next Sunday, live on Scott Sport, of course. What we don't want is a repeat of some of the things which happened at Ibrox when the 2 teams met there the last time. That we can do without, can't we?
Well, that's right. I think we've learned the lesson, or they have learned their lesson from that, and I think the players will be well warned before the game to be on their best behaviour. We know it is going to be a very, very important game, certainly for Rangers, because they have to win the game. So I think both managers will clamp down on any of that sort of...
I never understand in Old Firm matches, and you've played in them, some matches where people say, well, there could be trouble, they go off peaceably, and then it's the other way round. And the Old Firm at New Year was a good game.
That's right, they're very, very unpredictable, these games. I mean, one tackle can spark off scenes like that, but I don't see that happening again on Sunday. I played in a lot of Old Firm games that were actually tougher than that one.
Right, no trouble.
No trouble whatsoever, no.
How do you think that game might go?
Again, it all depends on Wednesday. If Aberdeen can win up there against Celtic, then it's going to be a right 4-pointer next Sunday. Of course, Rangers still have to win the game, and that could reduce the deficit to 2 points.
It does actually dawn on me, now that we can see the goals in that game, which are being remembered for all the wrong reasons. It's one of the strangest Old Firm games, because Celtic really did rather throw it away, didn't they? Well,
that's right, being 2-0 up, and of course with Graham Roberts in the goal, he's actually lost more goals against Celtic than any goalkeeper, because he played in the last 2 games, he finished up in goals. But a good striking again, wasn't it? Good play by Celtic. Andy Walker had a splendid match. But Rangers came back from 2-0 down with 10 men. So
I mean, it's a classic confrontation, because there's Rangers who have spent an awful lot of that £6 million on a defence. Celtic spending all the money on their attack, so it really should be the immovable object against whatever it is.
Well, it should be, but it doesn't always turn out that way. I mean, just look at Terry Butcher, for instance. He'll be out for 3 months with a broken leg. They've missed him sorely, I think.
So, let's have your predictions finally. European Cup, Rangers to go through or not?
I think Rangers are going to have to play very well indeed, probably their best of the season to overcome this. If they do, then I think they'll do it, yes.
And by the end of the week in the league, how do you see the situation there, Celtic and Rangers?
Well, I think Celtic won't get beat on Tuesday. I think they'll get at least a point from Aberdeen, and they'll possibly go for a point on Sunday as well against Rangers, which will be good enough.
Well, all I can say is, after months of slogging through this season, the next 8 days are absolutely crucial. I'm going to enjoy them. I hope you will too, Derek.
I certainly will, Ian.
Thanks a lot.
Well, from the team that won Dubai's football trophy earlier this season to the golfers who brought back the winnings from the latest sporting creation of the United Arab Emirates. It's a golf course complete...
1:30 with studio guests Willie Miller and Sandy Clark. And joining commentator Jock Brown at the ground will be Alec Ferguson. Yes, as Ian Archer said earlier, another exciting week to look forward to in what has been a great season so far. Our closing pictures today, the goals from Firhill, which ended the Harry Rags' dream of Cup glory, and the 4 goals from the Old Firm match in October, which set the scene nicely for our live programme next Sunday. From all of us here in the studio, goodbye for the present.
at Ibrox tonight was by Bill Malcolm. And I can give you one result, by the way, in the UEFA Cup.
It's Rangers on 53, but the Parkhead men would indeed look likely league winners should they stretch that lead to 6 points by winning on Sunday. Now, back in October, the fixture boiled over completely with 3 orderings off. Celtic's Frank McAvenny was the first to be red-carded. He was quickly followed by Rangers keeper Chris Woods. And then Rangers skipper Terry Butcher ended up taking an early bath, Rangers finishing with 9 men, Celtic with 10. On the same day in October, the clubs drew 2-2.
Tangle of legs, it's sorted out by McCarthy. Here's a chance now for Walker. It's Andy Walker going through, and Roberts. No mistake this time. Celtic are in front. Stark nodding it sideways. McStay helps it on to Grant. Oh, that's a good ball from Stark. Here's Walker. That's for Peter Grant. That's the second. Good play again from Ferguson. Here's Goff. Still Richard Goff. Now McCoy, still a great chance for Rangers. He's made it. Rangers are right back in the match. Ferguson playing it wide for Durant. Rogan comes to meet him. Oh, that's good running by Durant. He's away from Rogan. There the ball inside. McCarthy did well with the header, but it's Durant again. The last chance perhaps for Rangers. The chance is on for Goff. Richard Goff makes it 2 apiece. And the final minute of the match. What incredible drama here at Ibrox.
So hopefully the Old Firm fans will see a few goals on Sunday and little off-the-ball drama. Celtic skipper Roy Aitken is clearly looking forward to the occasion. Roy Aitken greatly enjoys the unique experience of an Old Firm encounter and how he enjoys preparing for a Rangers game. Down by his Ayrshire Coast home this week, the Celtic skipper has been getting away from the hustle and bustle of the game, playing on the beach with his young son John. But when he starts to think about Sunday, he's quick to point out the importance of this particular clash.
I think all Old Firm games are important, no matter when they're played, but this one in particular because it's the last Old Firm game of the season. Rangers are our nearest challengers at the moment. We're sitting 4 points clear, so a victory on Sunday would really set us up for the last 6 or 7 games.
People in the game say that Billy McNeill and Jock Stein had a great relationship. Do you have a similar type of relationship with Billy McNeill now?
I possibly like to think that way, yes, Jim, because the gaffer and Mr Stein both had a great relationship. In fact, a very successful relationship over the years. And if I can emulate that success in any way with the present manager, then that would really make me happy.
How much of a part has Billy McNeill been in Celtic's most recent success?
If you just look at the signings he's made this season, already we've signed some class players. We lost 4 quality players at the end of last year in Murdo McLeod, Alan McInally, Brian McClare and Maurice Johnson. But already he's signed players of the calibre of Mick McCarthy, Andy Walker, Joe Miller, Frank McAvenny, Billy Stark, Chris Morris, and every one of them has come into the side and done really well. So the manager started off with a brand new team, has settled as well. Both him and Tommy Craig have really emphasised we've got to hustle and win the ball back when we lose it. And that's been our success this year.
People out with Scotland, Roy, can't really believe the intensity of the Old Firm match. How intense does it get on the field of play?
Intensity really builds up during the week as well. As soon as you walk into the park, there's 2 sets of supporters there, and both are hungry for success. They're both chanting against each other. And the first 5-10 minutes of a game like that, you can't hear the whistle at all. I mean, it's so intense, and it's more than just a game. It really is. It's a way of life up here for football. It's a one game that everyone looks forward to. And as I say, Sunday's game is going to be a real classic.
Before Sunday's match, Dundee United meet Aberdeen tomorrow. Dunfermline meet Dundee, though the Power squad has been hit by no less than an outbreak of paratyphoid. Falkirk meet Motherwell, Hibs play Hearts, and Morton meet St Mirren. And that's a picture at the bottom of the league, Morton at the foot, Dunfermline above them, and then a gap to Falkirk and Motherwell and then St Mirren. But no doubt about the importance of the Falkirk-Motherwell match, with both clubs trying desperately not to be among the 3 who'll drop. Well, Jerry, Falkirk-Motherwell, it is vital for both of those clubs, isn't it?
Yes, I'm off to Brockville tomorrow, looking forward to it. A draw would be a good result for Motherwell. They've got a far better goal difference. Forum would indicate, though, that Falkirk will win this. They've taken 5 points out of 6 against Motherwell this season. But I think Motherwell will get the draw. It's quite interesting, the leagues were reconstructed to save Motherwell 2 years ago. Here they are battling again.
Rangers Celtic on Sunday. Big Roy there saying it's more than just a game. We've heard that before, but it obviously is more than just one game, isn't it?
Well, he loves that kind of game. Old Firm games this season have been bizarre. I wonder, will it be 11 against 11, 10 against 9, whatever. We've had all kinds of situations this season. Souness was sent off in the first game, 3 players in the second. The Rangers goalkeeper carried off in the third. Celtic have scored 5 goals against Rangers this season. Graham Roberts has picked 3 of them out of the back of the net. That shows you how unusual it is. Very difficult to tip, obviously. But this time last season, Celtic had to win to keep their season alive. Rangers are in this position on Sunday. They must win to keep the season alive. I think with home advantage, the crowd behind them, they'll just do it.
Key men missing from both sides.
That's right. Well, no Peter Grant or Mick McCarthy for Celtic. Rangers have John Brown suspended, although he's a relative newcomer. But Rangers can bring back Jan Bartram, Ian Ferguson, Mark Walters, and I think that might just swing it for Rangers. But as I say, let's hope everyone behaves. It's live on this channel, and let's not have another bizarre afternoon. Let's entertain.
And very briefly, Jerry, if they do win, you're saying that Rangers will probably get there in the end and win the league for a second.
Well, I tipped them at the start of the season. Even if they win on Sunday, they depend on favours from others, but they can keep their season alive by winning.
We'll be watching. Jerry, thanks.
Jim White and Jeremy.
Effectively end for Rangers if they fail to beat leaders Celtic at Ibrox on Sunday. Elimination from the European Cup on Wednesday meant that only the league flag can now be added to the Score Cup in the Ibrox trophy room. But with Celtic holding a 4-point advantage and that Pittodrie game in hand, only a home win would keep the slender Championship's hopes alive for Rangers.
Stow well in the lead. There's a touch there, it must be a goal, it is! Richard Goff, the equaliser. Looks like Ali McCoist. There, 2-1.
Now, what's the attitude among the camp now, having effectively lost on Wednesday, although the match on the night was won? Are the players despondent?
No, not at all. We realised that we were lucky not to win the game, but I think we now realise how important Sunday's game is now. We realise we have to win to keep the championship here, and that's what we're going to try and definitely do.
Tried to knock the ball about casually, and Romanians, of course, are highly adept in possession football, and that's a great move, and that's a goal. Oh! Number 7, Lakatos, has practically killed the tie, stone dead, in exactly 3 minutes. Stow, well in the lead. There's a touch there, it must be a goal, it is! Richard Goff, the equaliser. Oof, shocking one. Tell you what, the goalkeeper looks a bag of nerves. Here's Durant. Looks like a penalty kick, and it is. Penalty kick. Looks like Ali McCoist. Then 2-1.
This year has been a much bigger transitional period for us. I mean, the amount of players we've had to change over, we've been criticised for it, but people criticising are not worth listening to. I'll do it the way I see it. I had to change players because they weren't good enough for this club. This club deserves the best, and they're going to get the best. Whether I give it to them, but somebody will. Now, we've been criticised for changing the players and not having players eligible for tonight's game. Those players will be eligible for a lot of years to come for this club. We had players who weren't good enough here. They had to go. Now, this has been a far bigger transitional period this season than last season. Last season, we won the league. We didn't have the problems that we've had this year. No excuses, no excuses. Again, tonight we're out of the competition because we missed chances, but no excuses.
Exactly. Can I put it to you then, looking back on it, delighted though you must have been at winning the league championship, to put you in Europe, do you think it was a bit too quick?
Yeah, I said that before tonight's game. It's a year too soon for us. We had 6 players sitting on the touchline tonight that I would have used tonight, through injury, through not signing in time for this round. I let players go that I felt weren't good enough for this club. I'll stand by that. I still think I've done the right thing. I don't think those players playing tonight would have made any difference to what happened tonight. Ian Durant and McCoy were absolutely brilliant tonight for an hour. Young Nizzy, 19 years old, comes in and does a great job at full-back. Really, without criticising anybody for the 2 goals, it was 2 players who have been possibly our most consistent and best performers all season, and Richard Goff and Graham Roberts, who got caught napping in 2 minutes. Yeah. And cost us a goal.
Do you think you have been unfairly criticised?
Do you have to ask that?
Do you think, honestly, do you think you have?
Hey,
I mean,
I'll say yes to that.
Managers are always going to be
yes to that.
Managers are always going to be criticised. I mean, I don't know a manager of the game, even Jock Stein.
This is going out in England.
Yeah,
this is going out in England.
Sure.
People in England don't understand what's going on up here.
Like what?
How long is this programme for? How long will you give me?
Well, I mean, Rangers Football Club, Celtic.
It's a British thing. It's a British thing. Celtic, I'm sure, experience the exact same thing. We're a big, big club. Now, everybody, it's a British disease. It's not a Scottish disease. It's a British disease. Everybody likes to see the big fella fall. We spent a lot of money here. Everybody gets a laugh every time we come unstuck. Good for them. We'll get the last laugh.
Well, I suppose in a sense, it's a credit to this club that people maybe want you to fall flat on your faces.
Maybe it's a backhanded compliment. But we're talking about some professional people here. Who are meant to be professional in the job they do, with unbiased opinions.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, this club here is going to be perhaps under a microscope more than any other club. And I suppose it's got to be taken in stride. Yeah.
We only want to be treated the same as everybody else. Just the same as everybody else.
What would have happened tonight if Terry Butcher had been playing?
Wouldn't have lost the goal in 2 minutes. We'd be the ones going into the semi-final tonight.
He's that valuable to you?
I would say we wouldn't have conceded. I wouldn't say we'd definitely gone into the semi-finals, but we would not have conceded that second-minute goal tonight. And you see the way they reacted when we put them under pressure. We would have won tonight.
Butcher broke his leg 16 weeks ago in an accidental collision with Alec McLeish of Aberdeen. Since then, it's been a long, slow and sometimes painful fight back to full fitness. Some of it at the FA Rehabilitation Centre at Lillishall.
You don't really imagine what a broken leg can entail, really. And I was lucky that both bones didn't go. Just the one big bone went, the tibia. So I was quite pleased to be looking for about 14 weeks, but it's taken a bit longer. And
why is that, Terry?
It's not the actual physical condition. I mean, my physical condition is very good. Thanks to coming down here and trying down here, my physical condition was ahead of my bone condition, and the doctor wasn't very happy for me to push it really hard.
How have you felt mentally? Have you struggled at all? Have you felt depressed at any stage?
Yes, there have been some terrible times. My wife is quite depressed now. She can see that I'm quite close, but not quite there yet. So it's hard for her because I'm a bear with a sore head around the house. I think the children feel the anxieties more than I do. I mean, you sort of shout at them and get on to them more than anybody else. So she says she'll be pleased when I'm back playing, then I'll get into a good routine again.
Can you set yourself a target in which you can run out at Ibrox again as the captain of the side?
Well, April the 2nd has been bandied about as a possible date. Possibly April the 9th will be more realistic, but there could be some first-team games in between then. I think the ideal thing would be for me to play like reserve games or first-team games, first-team friendlies. But as I said, there aren't many games left before the end of the season, and I don't mind when the game comes along, and then I'll be happy to run it anywhere.
His major task now is to prove that he can get back to his full international form. Time, frankly, is not on his side, and Bobby Robson may be faced with an agonising decision.
It's up to Mr. Robson at the end of the day to see if I've regained my old vigour, my old enthusiasm for the game. Believe me, when I come back, I'll have the same passion and the same commitment as well. There's no way I'm going to shirk out of any tackles, so hopefully there will be enough games. I'm sure that I can do enough in those games to persuade him. But then again, if he thinks that I'm not there, and if he thinks that there's someone else who could do the job better, then I'll be the first to hold my hands up, because obviously I want England to do well, no matter who's playing there.
Fingers crossed for Terry. Like Graham Souness, I think Rangers would have beaten Steaua Bucharest with him in the side. Instead, it's the Romanians who went into yesterday's semi-final draw. They now meet Benfica, with Real Madrid up against PSV Eindhoven in the other semi-final. Well, there's a big international programme next week, all the home countries in action and the Republic of Ireland. But heading the list, England versus Holland at Wembley, with the two countries rehearsing for their European Championship clash in June. Victory will give one country a psychological advantage, and it'll be fascinating comparing England's Gary Lineker with Holland's Ruud Gullit. Well, Gary too should Graham Souness. The Rangers player-manager can be inspirational on the field, but there's no excuse whatsoever for the tackle he committed on Steaua Rotario. Graham was clipped on the back of his leg by another Bucharest player, but it has no bearing On the way, he then went over the top. As a manager, his players could easily follow his example, and much worse, as a footballing hero, there are thousands of youngsters and non-professionals who might think that if Graham Souness can do that sort of thing, why can't I?
Well, even the great Barry John didn't have to face tackles like that, did you, Barry?
It's a frightener, that one, wasn't it?
Oh, it was indeed.
And I don't care what the sport is. It doesn't matter what you play. Whether you play squash, you don't do that. That's unbelievable. I mean, there is no defence. You can't even argue for that. Frankly, I think you should have just got up and walked off and saved the ref. But there you go.
It's wonderful to see you. Can it be, what, 16 years since you...
Live on Scottish television, Sunday, March 20th. Premier League football, Rangers against Celtic at Ibrox.
That's a good ball from start. Here's Walker. That's for Peter Grant. That's the second.
We'll be bringing you the whole 90 minutes of the match, which could settle this season's title.
He's made it!
It's called the greatest club game in the world. See for yourself as Scott's Walk brings you the Old Firm live. That's Sunday, March the 20th, starting at 1:30.
Rangers versus Celtic at Ibrox, and that's live on STV. The big question north of the border is, can Celtic wrap up the Premier League title at Ibrox? And last but not, two tips in the semi-final of the Cup.
I'm getting frightened to death, you know, Saint. My reputation as a tipster is beginning to flourish. What happens if they both get to the final? I'll be ruined. I'll be ruined.
Forest Wimbledon final. It could happen, Jim.
It could happen.
And you have then,
I face total ruination.
OK, well, as it happens, Jim, Cloughie was having a weekend at the Arsenal last weekend. The team that Forest will face in the next round, Liverpool, took themselves to Main Road. Manchester City's youngsters were the opposition.
Down the Goodison Park tunnel. The Everton welcome on the field will certainly be a warm one once Kenny Dalglish's team comes out for its date with destiny. Only 4 weeks ago, a similar journey ended in red beating blue in the 5th round of the FA Cup. And that's only one factor in Everton's quest for revenge. Preventing another Liverpool page in the record books is the major concern, particularly for Everton's former Liverpool players, like Kevin Sheedy. Sheedy, a star of past derbies, is aware of the Everton expectations tomorrow.
A Premier League decider. Here's Jim White.
Well, Glasgow, like Liverpool, will be a divided city tomorrow when Rangers entertain Celtic here at Ibrox, in a match which, if Celtic win, will almost certainly decide the Premier League title. Rangers only have the Premier League left to interest them now. They're out of the Scottish Cup and now out of the European Cup, beaten in midweek on aggregate by Romanian Steaua Bucharest. It's almost a year on from the scenes which greeted Rangers' first Premier League win in 9 years in Graham Souness' first season as manager. And the predominant colour in this football-mad city looks in the process of changing from blue to green. For Celtic are 4 points clear of the Ibrox men in the Premier League, and following a comfortable win over Partick Thistle in the Scottish Cup last week.
To Bonds. Chance for Aiken, staying round the back. Breaks to Glavin. Left foot shot across the goal and Aiken scores. Now Greg. McDonald. Lane. Goal. Greg forward. Johnson a dummy. Parlane finds McLean. McLean to Parlane, and it's a goal! Parlane scores. So Doyle to take the kick. Glavin, goal! Aiken it is. Aiken scores, 2-2.
11 years on from that game, Aitken is now one of the great characters of Scottish football. A devoted family man, he gets away from the hustle and bustle of football, strolling his native Ayrshire coast. And it's hard to believe that he is the same man who drives Celtic week in, week out, with a fervour which has made him a natural captain, not only of his club, but country as well. Few games hold as much importance to him as tomorrow's clash with Rangers.
I think all Old Firm games are important, no matter when they're played, but this one in particular because it's the last Old Firm game of the season. Rangers are one year's challengers at the moment, We're sitting 4 points clear, so a victory on Sunday would really set us up for the last 6 or 7 games.
Got to recover from the efforts of Wednesday against Stow, you know, with a lot of effort into that game. And I have a feeling, you know, that the Celtic can get the result there to stay up, you know, keep that gap.
I would think so, Saint, being my team, Celtic.
Of course, yes.
Yeah, I think you're right. I fancy Celtic a little bit. Well, because if they win that one, it's going to be very hard for Rangers to win the championship after that, isn't it?
It certainly will be. Well, I've looked at the 3 games they've played this season, and Celtic, for my money, have been the better side, Jim.
Take your word for it, old soldier.
Okay, well, we're now to our preview.
One of the most important Premier League games of the season between the champions Rangers and the league leaders Celtic. A victory for the home side would keep the race for the title open. A win for Celtic would take them a giant step closer to the title and a place in next season's European Cup. Hello, good afternoon and a warm welcome to Scott Sport. Rangers out of the city to prepare for this one. The coach is ready and all of a sudden the talking is over and it's time to move. There were rumours at Turnberry this morning that Rangers may have 1 or 2 late injury problems and will be going to Ibrox to pick up those details in due course. A comfortable 90-minute drive up the leafy lanes of Ayrshire, heading for Ibrox Stadium and a match which means so much to both clubs.
You'll notice the first winner on any old firm day, that's...
Get over the disappointment of losing to Celtic last Sunday?
I don't think they'll get over that disappointment for a while. John Brown is doubtful tomorrow, so too is Ian Ferguson. But Graham Souness, very unhappy with his defence, spent a lot of money there. He says despite the fact he's invested in tall defenders, they're losing a lot of daft goals as they did against Stour and Celtic. And he's quite unhappy there. He says he will not be experimenting with the side, though. He'll keep chasing Celtic till the end.
And it's never easy for anyone going to Dens Park, is it?
That's right, Dundee blow hot and cold, but they had the last, 6-1 to Dunfermline last week, but they can be difficult in their own patch. The only thing is they'll have an eye towards the cup tie against Dundee United Monday night.
What about Dunfermline then, Jerry?
Well, first Hibs have put in writing a £350,000 bid for the unsettled Hearts striker John Robertson. Hibernian's league position this year has been dictated by a shortage of goals, but Robertson won't be allowed to move to Easter Road. Hearts co-manager Sandy Jardine said the offer received today suggested payment by instalments. By that, he said, we take it they mean £1 a week. Meanwhile, the controversial Rangers and Denmark fullback Jan Bartram, unlikely to be voted Player of the Year by the Danish press, has been given a vote of confidence by Graham Souness, who's named Bartram as the only certainty to take the field against Dundee tomorrow. Well, on this programme, the Dane last night denied that he alleged what he said to Souness. The manager will be looking for a convincing performance from the rest of the team tomorrow. At Park...
Just stuck Ferguson. And that's in. It's Clark, would you believe? Kinnaird, away from Morris. Good run by Kinnaird. Ferguson's done it again.
Pro clubs, and you would then establish that you had a professional league and then have semi-professional leagues. But don't mix the two. Why mix the two? Now, if there isn't a restructuring, what will eventually happen is that the league would become so unattractive to the punter that we would then say to ourselves, well, how are we going to operate Rangers Football Club in such a way that we can afford to spend $2 or $3 million a year or pounds a year in the transfer market? How can we pay players $100,000 a year? Where are we going to get the money to do that from? We have to have a competitive league which is going to attract people. And if that fades away from us in Scotland, we have a problem.
When I came in first and talked about business and football, I was pillarised in the media and in the newspapers, and somewhat scorned at. And I was patted in the head by several eminent people and said, you know, if you're in football 5 or 6 years, you'll learn all about it. Well, I wasn't in to learn about football. I was in to bring business into Rangers. And in Rangers, you don't sell entertainment and you don't sell excitement. We're selling participation.
It's a participation that pays handsomely in the business sense, and not just selling shirts and footballs. And not just for the punters. Pre-match champagne receptions and lunches have become standard. Each new stand has 6,000 square feet of fully let office space. There may be 40,000 plus at the game, but almost 500,000 people play the Rangers pool each week, and it nets £1 million a year for the club. Nearly 2,000 people dial this number every day, 7 days a week. This isn't a hotline to God, or the White House, or the Kremlin. It's a hotline to Glasgow Rangers.
Hello, this is Alan McCoist on our very own Rangers hotline, where you can hear the latest news, interviews...
It's also a hot number in terms of cash, raising more than £150,000 a year. But football is not just about numbers. Rangers have never played a Roman Catholic, which, given the demography of the west of Scotland, can hardly be a coincidence. There is also undeniably an embarrassing element among the Rangers support, which tends to view each game as a ritualised rematch of the Battle of the Boyne.
Well, Jimmy, I've got to be quite honest about this one, that religious bigotry has never been anything that I've ever cared much for in my whole life. And I don't conduct my business like that in any case. Now, it's always been my intention that we will put the best 11 players that we can put in a blue jersey on that park. And they will play for Rangers Football Club, for this blue jersey, and they will play with pride and honour and dignity. Now, I don't care where they come from or what other beliefs they've got. I've always been interested in 3 questions that I've ever asked anyone. Are you good enough to play for Rangers? And do you want to play for Rangers? And will you abide by the disciplines of the club? Now, if they can answer these questions, then we don't have to ask them any more questions. I have never asked anyone what school they go to or what's their religion. That's no way we see it. Now, when I came here first, they said we couldn't play Englishmen. Well, we're quite happily playing quite a few Englishmen. And I don't see any barriers for this club at all. But what you've got to remember is that my first statement to the mass media was this, that Rangers Football Club will resolve their differences and their problems. And if the media keep away from it, then we'll solve them a lot quicker.
One very positive feature of the Scottish game has been the remarkable drop in violent behaviour among the fans due to stricter control of alcohol and effective propaganda that says terracing hooliganism is a betrayal of your team. Tonight's game is another full house in a European Cup quarter-final. Rangers won in the night, but lost on aggregate over 2 games. However, for the first time ever, the club, the first in Britain to do so, sold television rights by satellite for live screenings in Canada and, would you believe, Thailand. Rangers, whatever else may be said, have ushered in macroeconomics to Scottish League football. Scotland's leading clubs responded, spending money on players such as Charlie Nicholas and Frank McAvenny. Old rival Celtic spent more than £2 million on new players and already look runaway winners of the Premier League.
And if you have a look at the figures in football in Scotland at the moment, everyone's doing well. And people said, you know, is there a danger that you'll grow too big for your own league? That is farcical, because football is a sport And at the end of the day, it's 11 men against 11 men. We have no divine rights to win every game. No one wants to let us win every game. We play hard. When we play any team, they take it as a cup final. So we play hard every game. So there's never any danger. I mean, we've seen it over the years. Real Madrid had an international side and they were taking on all comers. But that passed, and the rest of the Spanish teams caught up again. And Real Madrid have had to work hard to get back to the top again. And that's always the case, and that's how it should be. That's what sport's all about. And as long as we've got great sides like Celtic, Aberdeen, Hearts, Dundee United, Dundee, Hibs, I mean, they're all there, and they're all fighting for existence. I missed one, Falkirk.
How much would it cost? I mean, it's going to cost a lot of money. Let's get back to the whole thing about this whole scenario here, America. This is going to cost money. It's not going to cost 5 million, it's not going to cost 10 million. It's going to cost 50 million, 100 million, just to restructure Scottish football. You're talking about these set of numbers. But if you want to get back to the stage where you have double your attendance throughout the league, if you want to get your average gate up to 15 or 20,000 across the board, you want to try and achieve these sort of figures, then someone's got to sit down and work out how you're going to do it. But it's going to take money.
In 7 days, Rangers will play 3 home games, which will gross probably more than £1 million in ticket sales and at the turnstiles. Now, this is a lot of money. But cable and satellite television will create a global market for the game that will make sums like this seem like chicken feed. The technological developments are inevitable, and they will compel changes in the organisation of the game. There's no point in running away from the challenge of this technology. Better by far to go and meet it and use it for the benefit of the game as a whole.
Well, a more obvious one is the amount of people we get. But the feeling that the people have for this club is unique. It's a passion that doesn't exist anywhere in England. And I played at Liverpool for a long time, where they feel they're the most passionate crowd in the whole of British football. But they should come up here. This is something else.
What are your ambitions, then?
Really, I think because we're such a big club, we should be aiming to be competing with the likes of Barcelona, as Liverpool have done in the past, with Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, with the big clubs, and be competing at the highest level in the European competitions.
But you broke new ground when you signed top English internationalists.
The public are demanding to see the best. I think it's going to be a case of the strong getting stronger, and unfortunately for the weak getting weaker. People want the best today, and they want to see the best. They're willing to pay for the best. And hopefully we can take Glasgow Rangers into that category.
You have to. A very good evening to you. Exactly 11 months ago, I sat here to introduce boxing from the King's Hall, Belfast. Now, to be honest, it's well nigh impossible to keep Rangers out of the news just now. From weighty editorials to front-page headlines, one supposes if Ibrox were to sell itself as soap opera, it would be more successful than the EastEnders. But at the end of the day, they are a football club charged with the responsibility of gratifying one of the biggest supports in the world, which is why, even after a defeat by Celtic, thousands followed them to Dundee today to see what sort of condition he himself and Cowan with a couple got them perhaps something like 4 to 6 points there. Morton, of course, anchored right at the... And Morton are officially relegated now. And Hamilton Accies and Meadowbank. Meadowbank creeping up, and Accies again. There's going to be an amazing finish there. Only 3 points between the two teams. And at the bottom there, East 5 down there. Pity about East 5. They're still trying to fight very hard. And they won 1-0 at Wraith today. And perhaps that's a little lifeline for them. And congratulations to Ali McLeod and his men. There we are. They got a draw today, and that means they are officially promoted into the First Division. And I'm sure Ali has ambitions to go even higher than that. Well, now to boxing.
Today named by the bookies as the clear favourites to lift the Scottish Cup at Hampden Park in May. Celtic are 6-4 favourites. Aberdeen then come in at 3-1 second favourites. Dundee United, victors over neighbours Dundee last night, are priced at 7-2, with Hearts at 4-1. Manchester United's Norman Whiteside may be set to leave Old Trafford, but he's not set to become Rangers' next big buy. I understand the Ibrox club will not be bidding for Whiteside, who it's thought will soon be on his way to Italy. And finally, the full Highland regalia outside the Johnston Chateau. And Mo could be in for some steak when he sets foot in Scotland next. And Derek, I would think you'll give him that steak.
Nice dress here, Jim. Something like myself.
He's all right. It appears we can update the viewers tonight. He is okay, and he's going to play against the French club Auxerre tomorrow.
That's right. I think the papers went overboard this morning with it, and he said tonight that he's fit enough to play tomorrow.
Peculiar thing altogether, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. He's in two different countries, and he seemingly picked up two different bugs. And obviously he's lost a lot of weight. I wish I could get it now, Jim, and lose a bit of weight.
OK, he's OK. Now, what about Frank McAvenny talking there about his time at Celtic? He's thoroughly enjoying himself, obviously.
Of course he is, and as Billy said, players that come up from England never seem to be as fit as the Scottish players, and it took him 6-8 weeks to get back to his usual sharpness. There's a little light there at the end of the tunnel, but with Celtic winning, then it's only a matter of time.
Marvellous for them, because when you think of it, Derek, Big Billy effectively lost the team at the beginning of the season, losing McInally and McLeod and Johnson and McClare. Incredible what he's done.
Well, he's buys, and Chris Morris, who's been a magnificent signing for him, as is Billy Stark. I mean, he came from Aberdeen for something like £75,000 and scored some vitally important goals for him. And as you say, McAvenny, Walker, great signings, and they've all done him a turn this year.
Rangers Hearts tomorrow, Derek, how do you see that one going?
Well, obviously it's going to be a very difficult game. I believe there'll be about 40,000 there tomorrow, so the fans still sticking by Rangers. A difficult one, but I can see Rangers want to finish second, so they'll probably win tomorrow.
Do you think there's still a fair element of pressure on Rangers? Because, I mean, they have to win. Let's face it, if they lose tomorrow, it absolutely is all over.
Well, Graham Souness hasn't given up the title yet until it's mathematically impossible, so he will be telling his troops tomorrow, go out there and win. If there's a chance, then we'll still be there at the end of the day.
You would then, briefly, Derek, predict it would be Celtic 1, Rangers 2 at the end of it all?
I think so. It's looking that way, Jim.
OK, Derek, thanks very much indeed.
Rangers and talent has been attracted from the south. Isn't it going to be much more difficult for a club like Ayr to break through, get into the top elite and stay there?
Yes, you made the point. I think Graham Souness hasn't had the credit. He's revitalised Scottish football. He's put Scottish football where now they talk about Scottish football in Europe as club level rather than at national level. And he's given the chance now that for the clubs in Scotland to do a lot. But for the likes of Ayr United, it's made the life more difficult. For instance, I may have a budget of, say, 80,000 to 100,000 that I could spend in a year.
Well, I wouldn't buy you a ball boy at Ibrox, would it?
That's correct. You know, and I've got to rely on my scouting system. And only have the one scout, Joe McInnes, who the former Partick Thistle winger for Lanark.
Yeah, but you've done extremely well. But don't you think, Ali, the rich are going to get rich and the poor are going to get poorer?
Unless you get managers like myself, you see. That's the. You've got to have the managers. I mean, Brian Clough's doing it in England. Nottingham Forest is now in the top 10 gate-wise. He's without a doubt the best manager in England. His success, you just look at his record. Well, in his own, my own small way, I hope to do that with Ayr. I've done it twice before and I hope to do it. He wasn't as great as the media and everyone. If you just look at, you just need to look at the record, right? A lost in goal average for not qualifying. So we had a disappointments with Iran and these things happen.
Now, Andy Roxburgh is coming through a critical period and we're in the run-up to the World Cup. What kind of advice would you give him?
All I have suggested to Andy, and I think as a young manager and an up-and-coming one, that you've got to get a side and you've got to stick by it, no matter whether the media slate you or hammer you, if the fans crucify you. I believe that championships are won by using 15 players. Relegation and disappointments is when you go to 27 players.
The millionth customer goes through the Ibrox gates, but it's Hearts who do the celebrating.
Will be sitting on the sidelines until the end of the season is Rangers. But that didn't stop a crowd of 41,000 going to Ibrox and taking them past the million mark there this season.
We've decided to do it again, so here they are. Take note, and afterwards I'll tell you what the prizes actually are. Goal A, Willie Faulkner for Aberdeen against St Mirren on the 12th of September.
Here's Robertson going on the attack. Oh, brilliant ball, yes! Faulkner, a goal he thoroughly deserves.
Goal B, Paul McStay for Scotland against Belgium European Championship on the 14th of October.
Paul McStay, what can he do? Oh, brilliant goal! Oh dear, that is superb.
Goal C, John Cahoon for Hearts against Dundee Premier Division on the 13th of October.
Driven low. It's here, beautifully put in. Cahoon.
Goal D, Kenny Black, Hearts against Dundee Premier Division on the 13th of October.
Cahoon. Foster. Where is the chip and the drive forward? Oh yes. Finished there by Kenny Black.
Goal E, Frank McAvenny against Rangers Premier Division, 2nd of January.
Stay. No offside. That's a great move by Morris. McAvenny with a chance to score.
Goal F, Mark Walters, Rangers against Wraith Rovers, Scottish Cup 3rd round replay, 10th of February.
There's Durant again. Finding Mark Walters. Oh, yes!
Goal G, Ian Angus playing against Rangers Premier Division, 26th of March.
Good control. Excellent play by Dundee. Lawrence. Too much, that's a goal, a great goal. Superb goal by Ian Angus.
Goal H, Peter Grant for Celtic, 2nd of April against Hibs.
Just touched away, and this will be the shot. It's a brilliant goal. Grant. Clean as a whistle.
Well, there we are. That's what we want on a postcard, please. Your selection of goals. We've got goal X, Y, and Z. You put them in your proper numerals. Your name and address, telephone number, postcards only, please. Entries in by Thursday, May the 12th. And send it to Goal of the Season, Sports Scene, BBC Scotland, Queen Margaret Drive, Glasgow G12 8DG. Goal of the Season, Sports Scene, BBC Scotland, Queen Margaret Drive, Glasgow G12 8DG. And here are the prizes. 2 tickets for the first European Championship game, World Cup game, Scotland against Yugoslavia in October, the Bell Scottish Open in July, Scotland against Australia in November, and the Grasscourt Championships in June. And the sporting videos from BBC, a choice of 4.